Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. For me, this is recording number 4. For everybody who's actually watching, though, it's recording number 5. We need some Druid and Rogue victories, so let's begin. We were going to try Taunt on casual and then Death Row on casual, and we'll see how that works. I may have already tried Taunt on casual, actually. So, still have a decent amount of stuff to talk about. Really, the biggest list of conversation pieces so far this week. Kind of strange because we're only a couple of weeks before Christmas and the end of the year. My own personal end of the year videos, it's gonna be not much. I can pretty much already tell. I'm just gonna talk about my channel and do a game of the year here, and we'll do it like I did last year, which wasn't very good either. In which I'll just decide what my game of the year is on the fly. Haven't really given it any consideration, and then talk about just where my channel's gone in over 2 years now of being on YouTube and, well, being anywhere, working and trying to get all of that. But it's not going to be super special. It's not going to have footage or clips from games. I don't have an artist or anybody who could pull all those things. Ideally thinking about it, I guess, yes, I would want somebody to pull a bunch of clips from what I've done this year and gotten footage of games, and then I could have they could have made some lists and we could have collaborated maybe a little bit, or I could have made a list of 5 contenders for certain styles of games. I think at best all I could really do is say the game that is best for that time slot. So since I had like the Lego time slot, point and click adventure time slot, puzzle time slot, or small independent games time slot, we had the Hearthstone time slot, which I could probably say something there, and then AAA games time slot, and then maybe I could from that also add a little bit more to it. Like I could say the new game I played this year, which honestly I don't think there's that many. It probably almost certainly goes to Witcher 3 unless I started Witcher 3 last year, which is a possibility.
Oh no, my God!
So yeah, that would be one concern too. See if I can play these next 2 cards. Gain 10 mana crystals, discard your hand. See, I really needed to play that like the 5th turn, the 4th turn. If you're gonna have this card in your deck, you want. So yeah, I haven't given a lot of thought there. I can't say the best action adventure strategy shooter. I simply, as one person, did not cover enough games for that to work. If that makes sense.
For the gnomes!
Job done.
So yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. Let's go down this list of things to talk about. I have one thing I want to talk about, definitely, but I want to kind of wait too, because it's another one of these controversial topics that I don't want to really get into. I'm always a little reticent to put in political thoughts or controversial thoughts. I'm a video game critic. I'm not here to give people my thoughts on other things. So it has to relate somehow to something else, and this does relate to YouTube a little bit, so it's more YouTube drama again, I don't want to be a YouTube drama channel either, so we'll get to that later. Dragon's Quest Heroes will be coming to the western side of the pond, as it were. Several things were announced for Sony. I don't know if maybe Tokyo Game Show came out or some other thing like that. Several things were announced, and for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, I don't know if Dragon's Quest is specifically. Yeah, it is for PlayStation 4, at least. Maybe a Vita thing too. But it's coming out in the West, which means a good thing, because that means more Japanese games are going to start showing up on this side of the pond. Maybe this is the beginning of a turn where we will start experiencing. Let's see. What do I want to do? I guess this one. I think that's the best I can do. This in return. I want all games to come out in all regions, ideally, even if it's not really gonna sell or really matter that much. The whole idea of region locking has been a nightmare for everything. It doesn't make any sense in anything, not. And it was always just so they could charge different prices in different areas, or keep certain things out of certain areas because of censorship. There's really no good argument for region locking. So, Dragon's Quest Heroes coming to the West, good. I want to see more Dragon's Quest games, because I know that's a huge franchise in Japan and doesn't really mean anything to me. So that's
job's done.
So I'd like to see it actually come out in the West and people understand it. Now the Heroes part of that, I think, is just a brawler. There's this one game, I forgot the name of it, that they make a lot of them, where hundreds upon hundreds of enemies will attack you and you just go through them like crazy. And it's a pretty good game. It's a real button masher, because you're just hitting X in all non-stop as you're working through a somewhat simple map, killing things. And that's all the game is, but it will have the Dragon's Quest characters, and those style of games aren't terrible. They have a simple idea about what they're doing, and they do it pretty well. So this. Evolve and Left 4 Dead maker has are making a new dark fantasy game that's a co-op first-person shooter. It's a little strange this company are announcing anything new. It's kind of a good thing, because I don't know. Did I write down what their name is? No, I didn't. I don't even remember what the name of the company is, but it is kind of a good thing that they're even getting an opportunity to make something new, because Evolve didn't really sell, and Left 4 Dead worked fine, but then Left 4 Dead 2 came out probably by a different company, it seems like, but maybe the same company. But it doesn't seem like their company recently has had many successes. And draw a card. I can't believe that worked that well. Interesting. But I'm actually trying to get victories here, and I'm gonna lose. That's a shame. So they don't have a name for it, and it nebulously, I think, is coming out in 2017, which means it's not coming out in 2017. They don't even have a name for it. That tells you something. Not that you can't make a game and then name it like the week before. That has happened a few times where people thought it was going to be one name and then legal can't clear that name, so they pick a different one.
For the wild.
Probably should just concede here, but I guess that's really just a good for them. No real facts there for what little facts I ever actually do provide. Not even knowing the name of the game, it's so early. A dark fantasy co-op first-person shooter. The one thing about that sticks out in my head is because I've been covering Resident Evil 6, which is this game designed for co-op play, even though it's based on a series of survival horror games, and it makes no sense that way. Draw cards until you draw one that isn't a dragon. What a crazy
I must remain hidden.
dragon deck card. That is a crazy dragon deck
For the wild.
card.
Job done.
This one would probably never work. Even if you were making a dragon deck, it's almost certainly not gonna work. And even if you were playing a dragon deck, it wouldn't help you very much. But RE6 is a co-op game, and I was saying, in recent years, I haven't seen a co-op game. I can't think of a co-op game that's just two-player co-op. We'll try Death Rattle this time. In a long time. I can think of Army of Two. I can think of maybe some of the Gears of War games could be played two-player co-op. Maybe Halo could be played two-player co-op. I think both of those may be four-player co-op though. And see, I just think there's this divide really between a single-player game and a team game where you're gonna have 3, 4, 5 characters on the team. And I just don't think two-player co-op is there. Now, I'm assuming it's a two-player co-op game. It may be that it is a team-based co-op game, and that's just what co-op means, and I'm misinterpreting. Now, that's what may very well mean what co-op is going. So if anybody knows of any recent two-player only co-op game, though, I'd be very interested.
Legions I command.
The difference there, of course, and I guess I didn't ever explain this well, is the idea that if there's two characters in the story throughout the whole story, you've got to write dialogue and write the story as if those two characters are there. If there's only one character, then you only have to write half as much story and dialogue. And if there's a team, then you only have to write the same amount as two, and even less, because then you can just have silent characters that don't say anything important show up, because the third team member in a military shooter really isn't going to say that much, or any more than the fourth team member. So it becomes easier once they're not the main characters, and if for a team shooter, it kind of makes it so none of the characters are main characters. Instead, it's just a group. If that makes any sense. The Hitman Holiday add-on is to kill the Home Alone bandits, the Sticky Finger bandits. I think is what they called themselves in the second movie. Maybe there was some other name that they were.
Here we go.
They were calling themselves the Wet Bandits, I believe, in the first one. So those two jokers. Home Alone as a movie is now becoming this cultural, like, part of your nostalgia loved show, but actually a lot of the movies during those times are kind of nasty, and Home Alone is a great example of that. It's like, it's violent, it does a lot of slapstick, and I guess I'm not a huge fan of slapstick is really what I'm saying here. So I wouldn't want to really sit through a Home Alone movie, either one of them. The the interesting parts, the funny parts, actually take quite a long time. The beginning of Home Alone 1 is about 20 minutes of them being really nasty to Kevin to justify and explain why he didn't get on the plane or care when they left him behind. They left him behind. It wasn't like he intentionally chose not to get on the plane. So there was a lot of nastiness there, just people treating each other badly, and then they had this ham-fisted resolve at the end where they were happy when they got back together at the end of the movie. And none of that is interesting or memorable about Home Alone. Home Alone to everybody else is this kid who's kind of like Richie Rich, who's able to do whatever he wants, and he's got to stop these thieves and trying to stop these thieves, when really you should just have called the police or gotten help. Let's see. Stealth. Give your weapons +2 attack. I'll take that one. What is this? A 7/7? Of this attacks and kills a minion, summon 2 Murlocs. Alright. This.
Here we go.
This. And that. And so the traps and the comedy are the memorable parts of that, and it is slapstick comedy and them yelling at a kid, and just when you look at it from a different perspective and you're not yelling, you don't see it from that. You kind of see it. The same is true for the Goonies. Those are a bunch of kids that are almost in complete mortal danger throughout the whole movie, and yet it's just supposed to be this comedy. I guess I'm taking things too seriously.
The menagerie is for guests only.
But let's see, what does this one do? Let's go kill this.
Here we go.
And kill this. In fact, a lot of movies don't stand up to later viewings in life. I'm sure there's a whole group of people that are going to love the Star Wars prequels to only find out that later on down the road that it's not as good as they thought it was. Let's see. One story that came about is a game called For Honor will have always on line demands, even playing solo, which I don't know anything about the game For Honor. I tried to look at it, certainly, but it seems mostly like it's this Viking or Crusader style game. It looks pretty good. Looks like you're gonna run around, have objectives on the mission, fight with groups of warriors. There's probably a story in it and all that, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna have anything super special on it, or because I haven't heard anything about it. Maybe I'll hear more about it later. But speaking of hearing more about it, almost immediately as they came out and said that, a day later they said all the DLC and the modes will be free for For Honor. And so they're desperately trying to change the narrative there. 100%. They don't want people talking about how
My mother does love this face.
here.
Here we
Attack
go.
here.
Job done.
So yeah, they're trying to change the narrative, and it almost feels like they immediately, to change the narrative, may have given up a lot. Maybe not. Maybe they weren't planning on doing any DLC or new modes anyways. So this might be
Your win. I can see.
this might be just a bluff of all bluffs. Part of the problem though is, of course, how you say these things and how the news reporting agencies are going to turn those around and say it the way they want to say it. If you say all DLC and modes will be free, what you're effectively saying is, going forward forever till the end of all time, everything will be free that we add. Because modes and DLCs pretty much covers everything in the game. It locks you into making a For Honor 2 a little bit earlier than when you want. Then potentially you've just thrown off a development schedule for For Honor 2 if you were going to make that. And then that makes that game worse. And then you just snowball and roll down the hill and make it worse and worse. That's why it might be very valuable for them to say instead something along the lines of all of Season 1's DLC will be free, or the first 4 pieces of DLC will be free. Because you don't want to be in the situation where you make something huge and you really want to add something to your game, but it's too expensive to just give it away for free. Too much development went into it. And you want to leave yourself open this way. And all of this kind of just snowballs from an always online policy that some person made and thought wasn't a big deal, not understanding how the video game industry hates always online as a concept. Speaking of which, always online, from what I heard from Giant Bomb, Denuvo has a money-back guarantee, is what I'm hearing, or what they said, if your game gets cracked in the first 30 days. So Denuvo is an anti-cracking software. In case.
Goody.
And it's pretty bad. All the security anti-crack things are pretty bad because they still get cracked, and then they just make the game less optimized and run poorly on people who actually bought the game, and the game runs smoother on the people that cracked and stole the game because it doesn't have those features in it. But several games with Denuvo have taken Denuvo out in the past couple of months, and my assumption, and their assumption, is because to get the money back, you have to actually take the technology out, and that would certainly explain it. It may also be that Denuvo is going out of business, or it's just not working right, and they're trying to optimize the game, or maybe this is a new concept that video game makers are trying to implement, where they're saying we're just going to have anti-cracking policy for the first few months, where the first month where we really care about sales, and then we don't care anymore, so let's just get rid of it then and have a smoother product. And then you capture the pre-order people fine who are going to have a bad experience, and everybody who waited a little bit are going to have a bad experience. I mean, seriously, if there was Denuvo in like Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 6 or half the Lego games, and they took those out and it ran better than when it originally happened, for me, I would have never even known. Because I'm playing the games now. For a lot of people, I would never know. I also saw a number that said 37% of all games that are purchased on Steam are never played. Okay, that's a bad number. That's not good. But I won't particularly argue with it. Let's see. I seriously, I excuse myself for having games that I'll probably never play. And I can certainly see it at buying bundles and getting things cheaper by buying bundles. Like, I probably will never play any of the older Hitman games, but I bought the bundle, so it's there. And I kind of even understand the idea of people just wanting it, even if they aren't planning on playing it anytime soon. But I would heavily suggest most people consider it, and consider things are only going to get cheaper at a certain point. And if we're if we're gonna take the assumption, this is gonna be funny, I'm gonna miss. See, I could have won if I hadn't played this. I was silly to do that. If I hadn't played that, I would have won right there. What was I talking about? We're gonna go for a 4th recording here at this rate. So I'm not even gonna talk about the controversial thing in this recording. And this is gonna be the last game. And we'll just go for a 4th recording because of this. I don't even know if I want to talk about anything more, and probably don't. Let's just take this victory and be done with it. Attack, intro. It's been a real long time since I've gone for recordings. And that has simply been because I didn't have anything to talk about. So even if there was more game to play, I would just play it off screen. And I still may very well end up having to play some off screen because I don't know if I'm going to get enough victories quick enough here in the next recording. Probably not, if we're just going to be honest with ourselves. Or I'm going to be honest with me. There we go. But since I have things to talk about, I guess we'll continue playing. 2 victories. So in the next recording, I need 3 victories with a druid or rogue, and I need to play 9 priest cards. So we'll see if we can get at least one of those done in the next recording. That's it for this one. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, you can go to my main YouTube page. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.